big way could define the season. Of course, it's the game before the trade deadline. You've got about 48 hours after the game to figure out any last trades, get your affairs in order. And this team, are they selling? Are they not? Welcome in to the Hot Read Podcast. I'm your host, Easton Freeze, Director of Published Content here at BroadwaySportsMedia.com. We're also brought to you by the 440 Podcast Network. And you can follow me on social media at Easton Freeze. I'm joined as always by producer JT, here once again live back in Spring Hill at BoomBozz Craft Pizza Taphouse. JT, it is so good to be back.
Indeed it is. I don't want to be anywhere else right now.
Me neither.
Than BoomBozz.
I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to be here for the rest of the evening.
Exactly.
Talking Titans and then watching some Bills. Who are the
Buccaneers?
Buccaneers. Yeah, I was about to say Commanders. No, that's a Freudian slip. We were just thinking about the best bet Gauntlet.
Yes.
We love a lot of dogs this week. Just to tease the end of the show today. Home dogs, division dogs, division home dogs. I mean, it's delicious. So we'll be talking about that in the best bet Gauntlet at the end of the show. Before that, we've got our Titans-Falcons preview of Week 8 and the Will Levis debut preview. We're going to be talking a lot about what we expect from the young quarterback. And then we've got some news with producer JT, a real potpourri of topics from the news segment today. So a lot of fantastic stuff to get to. We've got a great show for you guys today. If you're watching with us live, a couple of housekeeping things. First of all, go on over to Broadway Sports Media on YouTube. It's Broadway Sports Media on YouTube. Find that YouTube page. Find this live stream in the comment section there. You can be a part of the conversation like Pretty Will Levis, who is a tried and true member of the community here. Glad to have you in here with us since the time has come. Indeed, I will say for all of your faults, we give you a lot of crap, Pretty Will Levis. I'm happy for you and your boy Levis. This has to be a very exciting week for you, and I'm sure you're going to be insufferable no matter what happens on Sunday in our comments on the Sunday evening reaction show. But yeah, head on over to the Broadway Sports Media YouTube page, join the live stream there, be a part of the conversation. Any questions, comments, queries you have about this game, we'd love to hear from you over there. If you're not subscribed, make sure to do that. Hit like, hit retweet, whatever you can do to help us spread the word on today's live stream. Send the link to a buddy. So we've got a lot of people pouring in here. And so without further ado, Stonian comments, BoomBozz Boys. The Boom Boys are back. The Boom Boys. I like it. Smart. We keep workshopping that. I like where your head's at. A big week for us here. And just to tease next week, by the way, a massive week next week here at BoomBozz Pizza. Of course, if you don't know, the Titans are the team playing on Thursday Night Football in Week 9. They'll be at Pittsburgh, and so we'll be live here. Titans watch party. We're going to have gift card giveaways, which we have each week. But in addition to that, JT, some Titans merch giveaways, a hat, maybe a jersey. Some exciting things going on.
We haven't picked out the jersey yet because of course, the implications of this week and beyond.
We're not trying to make a purchase that doesn't age well. Yes. Right, yeah, exactly. But by next week, we'll have made a purchase that
Can you imagine we get like a Derrick Henry or someone's jersey?
Oh, I can imagine it. Yeah, no, I can. That's the fear. So yeah, excited to be doing that next week. And make sure to tune in with us. Then we're going to have a good time. All right. And of course, BoomBozz Pizza, by the way. We forgot to plug the product here. The reason we love it so much, JT, is the craft pizza and the brews on tap. We got a couple brews for the show today. I went to Ireland, as anybody that has followed us knows, because I've been talking about it nonstop for 2 weeks now. I went to the British Isles, of which one of the locations I stopped at was in Ireland. And I don't know if you know this, JT, Dublin, Ireland, the capital. The entire city's personality is Guinness. Everything is Guinness. Everywhere, it's nothing but Guinness.
I was very jealous.
Yeah, and so I'm a very virgin drinker. I'm a very fruity cocktail and cider kind of guy. But I was kind of forced by being present in Dublin to come around on Guinness.
The peer pressure was real.
It was. It's an acquired taste, and I started acquiring it while I was there. So trying out a stout today, not a Guinness, but here on tap. I believe it's a local brand, Asgard Brewing Company, which I'm enjoying. It's delicious. JT, what are you drinking today?
I'm drinking, just keeping it light, Music City Shandy today.
Okay. So. Yep. All right. Well, they've got delicious drinks on tap as well as such good pizza that we're going to order as soon as we're done here. And we'd love for you to be able to order some on us. Again, I don't know how hard this is to sell, but if you come and say hello to us on any Thursday night the rest of the season, because we're not going to miss a single Thursday night from here until the Super Bowl, come say hey. Just say hello, and you're going to get free food on us. We're going to give you a gift card, and you'll be able to try some of this delicious drink, delicious bites to eat, and you're going to love it. All right, we have spent now a solid 5 minutes talking about everything but Titans football. We open the floor, the folks. Let's get into a Titans-Falcons preview for this week. And before we dive into Will Levis, which is going to be the bulk of our conversation today, JT, I want to, as we typically do, as is my style, approach things from a 10,000-foot view first and zoom in, right? Let's zoom out, look at this big picture, and talk about what this game will mean for the Tennessee Titans, what this game means for them, really how it, in my opinion, feels like the final tipping point for the season. In a big way could define the season. Of course, it's the game before the trade deadline. You've got about 48 hours after the game to figure out any last trades, get your affairs in order. And this team, are they selling? Are they not? That's going to be determined in the next 4 or 5 days now. We're counting down, obviously. But we've got just 5 days left before the deadline. And whether the Titans will be full-blown sellers or pick and choose their spots, that will be determined in large part by, I think, what they do this weekend against Atlanta. So it's a big deal. And I feel like if they lose this game, they're really you're starting to grasp at straws for the reasons why you shouldn't be selling anything and everything that is not in your plans for 2024, right? Any player, any asset that you have that is not a part of your plan beyond this year should be something that you're looking to get something out of and not just to let walk free, which is what the Titans did with Kevin Byard. They were going to be moving on from after this year. They got something from him at the last off ramp on the Kevin Byard Highway. They got some capital and a player in return. That's what they're going to need to look to do, I think, if they lose this game. But if they win this game, which I know a lot of Titans fans may be actively rooting against at this point, I think it's going to be an interesting conversation next week because you're on a short week, and you could go from 2-4 to 500 through 8 games at 4-4 after you play on a short week in Pittsburgh on Thursday night next week. Suddenly you're 4-4 in the blink of an eye, and you've gone from a bye week filled with, are you big sellers at the deadline? Are you full fire sale rebuild mode? To maybe this team is still competing for their relatively weak division.
Yeah, and like I said, an article I wrote earlier this week, this is a big 2-week stretch here.
Shameless plug, by the way. Check out that article. ProSportsMedia.com.
I thought it was a pretty good article.
Very good article.
However,
and I would tell you, it'd be hilarious. One of these days, you're going to write a terrible article. You're going to try to plug it on the show and say, guys, honestly, it was fine. It was pretty mediocre read. This is not one of those. It's very well.
And as I described in that article there, they're playing an offense this week in the Atlanta Falcons, who are the 29th ranked in the league in scoring.
Yep.
And then on a short week, they play a Pittsburgh Steelers offense that is 30th in scoring. So even though the Titans have had scoring woes this week, they're playing 2 teams the next 2 weeks that are worse than them.
By the way, can I take it a step further? Because the following week, they then play the Buccaneers, who are currently they're tied for 26th in the league in scoring. All 3 of these teams we just mentioned, the Falcons, the Steelers, the Bucs, are averaging 16.4, 17.2, and 17.2 points per game offensively. Now, in a couple of minutes, we're going to talk about how I personally think this Atlanta team is liable to put up many more points than their average this week, and I'll talk about why. But just on paper, not going any further than how many points on average are these teams scoring, the Titans, they're not known for scoring more than 20 points very often. The next 3 weeks, you can get away with it.
Yes, very true. And that's the reason. Even if Will Levis or Malik Willis, whoever ends up in fact playing, we do think it's Will Levis.
It's going to be Will Levis.
If for some reason we call Mike Vrabel's bluff and he does indeed roll out this 2-quarterback package,
we'll spend a full hour. It'll be the entire show on Sunday. If we do this preseason, every other, it's not going to happen. Okay, so don't worry. But if it does, in the one reality, in the one universe in which that's what happens,
Strange.
right, in the multiverse of options here, if that's what happens, we'll spend 3 shows next week, 3 hours in total. So probably talking about that and nothing but that, because it would be, I don't exaggerate a lot on this show. It will be one of the worst coaching decisions of any head coach in the league in I don't know how long. It's a bold face. It has to be a lie. It's not a lie. I'm gonna lose my mind. I don't know what to tell you.
So yes, even if Will Levis shows some rookie mistakes here, like you said, these teams that they're going to play the next 3 weeks also have had their fair share of mistakes. Lest we not forget, Desmond Ridder last week fumbled 3 times in that game, and somehow they
Twice
played
on the goal line, I believe.
Twice on the goal
Right.
line, and somehow the Buccaneers were not able to capitalize on those turnovers and win that game. So even if Will Levis has some mistakes, the Titans are going to have plenty of opportunities to pounce on these other teams. And you could be looking at a team that's above 500 in the next 3 weeks and does not sell at the deadline.
And suddenly the conversation is different.
And so that it's a big week, especially considering Tuesday's trade deadline. But I think both of us are pretty confident that there are still 2 different pathways that this Titans team can take.
Pretty Will Lipschitz in the comments saying if they roll out the platoon system, highly unlikely, as it may be, Rand Carthon should fire Mike Vrabel. Let's cross that bridge when we get there. But I understand where you're coming from. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves, Will Levis. It's just a couple more thoughts before we move on to the details of this game. From a trends perspective, this is a good spot for the Titans. Always is when they're coming off the bye. The Titans are tied for first in the league since, this is very small print, 2018 with Pittsburgh, Kansas City, and Buffalo for the best teams coming off of a bye. I believe when their opponents are on regular or short rest, obviously. Getting a full week plus of preparation time on your opponents. The Titans, along with the other teams they're tied with, are undefeated, 5-0, a 1.000 win percentage since 2018, since Mike Vrabel became the head coach of this team. So playing Mike Vrabel when he's had an extra week to prepare on you has been a losing proposition every single time for his opponents that have found themselves in this situation. As we've been talking about all season long, since before the season ever began, when the schedule came out, there is a red meat segment of this schedule. And this is where they are, right? They got through that gauntlet the first 6 games where we expected them to struggle. The hardest 6-game stretch of the year. We felt like going into the season, I still feel that's the case. They're now facing, like we mentioned, those next 3 teams they have, but really the next 10 games they have, the next 11 games they have, there are a lot of winnable games in there. And I'm not saying the Titans are going to be a good team. I'm not saying they're going to be a playoff team. I'm just saying that I think things feel right now, narrative-wise, amongst fans, amongst the media, like this Titans season is written already. I really just don't think it is. I think there's plenty of twists and turns left for us, especially if Will Levis or Malik Willis become more involved and this team does change some things. There's going to be plenty to talk about. So let's talk about the debut of one Mr. William Levis, who, no more silly talk. Like the platoon thing, we're gonna quit talking about it. It's not happening. It is Will Levis this week, from what I've heard. That I can't say for sure, but I can pretty much say for sure it's going to be Will Levis as the primary starter this week. And that's always subject to change if things go horribly wrong. But I think that they're going to stick with him in this game, assuming Ryan Tannehill cannot go, which from what I hear he cannot. Will Levis getting all of the first team reps in practice this week like that. It's Will Levis. So what we expect to see from him. And the conversation I want to open up today, which is one that I think we'll have throughout the rest of the season, what's the bar for Will Levis to convince you that he should be the guy going forward? Or maybe at the very least the guy that you should roll into 2024 with and see what you have in him, get a further, maybe more supported look from him and build around him a little bit with a crazy amount of available to you next season. Something that came out this week. Titans QBs making their first career start with the Tennessee Titans. There have been 10 gentlemen who have had their first career start as a quarterback with the Titans Oilers franchise, and the bar is relatively low for first game performances, as your first start tends to go. There's some ups and downs, some notable names. Steve McNair in 95 went 13 of 25 for 198 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions, and most of the fellows on here lost, such as Vince Young, Rusty Smith, Jake Locker, Zach Mettenberger, Josh Dobbs, all collecting their first loss. Pretty much everybody stubbed 200. Billy Volek in 2003 was the only passer to exceed 250 yards in their debut. So, some true Malik Willis last season against the Texans, in case you've forgotten. 55 yards of total passing, a barn burner performance. He went 6 of 10 for 1 interception. They won that game, by the way.
Yes,
that was a Derrick Henry classic.
Yes, it was.
But the bar in general is relatively low. Some of these guys, Rusty Smith, 0 touchdown, 3 interception game in his first career start in 2010. So it'll be hard for him to have a historically bad game in his first outing. That being said, let's talk a little bit about what the bar to clear is for him, not just in this game, but for the entirety of the season. Something I find very funny, first of all, is that when you talk about the other quarterbacks in this division, JT, Trevor Lawrence, CJ Stroud, Anthony Richardson, you talk about any of those guys or all of those guys in a positive light at all, as we tend to do on this show because we're fond of all of those quarterbacks. Titans fans are very quick to chime in. Pump the brakes, fella. Like, this guy hasn't proven anything. Some will say that this guy's a bum. You just don't know it yet. Like, they are very dismissive of these other quarterbacks. But then if you talk about the Titans trying to find, a suitable franchise quarterback, then the tune suddenly changes to, well, they're going to be playing in a division with Lawrence, Stroud, and Richardson. They're going to be pretty good. You can't have the 4th best quarterback in your division. So pick one, Titans fans. It's funny, the two-facedness of this fan base. That being said, if Will Levis becomes the Titans starter this season for long enough for you, for us, for the team to feel like they've gotten a decent look at him, then the obvious question then becomes a pretty tricky one, right? It's what is the bar for him to clear in order for you to feel good starting to build around him, which is really hard to quantify, right? Because you can go pure box score scout, you can go pure metrics, but that's really not how it works. You can't get a good feel for a guy, whether or not he's got that it, whether or not he's a potential dude to move forward with. And so I sat this morning thinking long and hard about, how can we talk about this? And I feel like one of the best, if not the best way to look at it right now is to compare him to what we've seen from his contemporaries so far. Compare him to the other major starting rookie quarterbacks from the 2023 NFL draft class, of which he was the 4th off the board. The first 3 have all gotten multiple games under their belt. And so I went and looked at some of their stats. Of course, we know the eye test, what we know based on advanced metrics, as well as just having watched them play, looking for that it factor, looking for the demonstration of traits, because that's ultimately what it is, right? You can use these guys as example markers, but there's a lot of eye test and trait demonstration that goes into the evaluation. The first guy I start with is CJ Stroud, and I feel like no one would argue that if Levis performs at the level that CJ Stroud has performed through 6 games, there is no question. You go into 2024, you start building around him with $100 million of cap space. You activate that draft capital in a way that you can bolster the team in younger ways around him, try to build a young core around a young, cost-controlled quarterback, and see what you have in a guy, giving him the full season next year to take that second year. Because Stroud, just looking at the numbers, we all know eye test what he's been really fantastic despite some trying circumstances. On paper, he's completing passes at a 60% clip, 275 yards on average per game passing, a blistering 9-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. That's through 6 games, obviously, and passing the eye test with flying colors, elevating that lackluster cast around him. Is there any question in your mind if he plays like Stroud has played through 5 games, through 11 games he plays the rest of the season, you move on with him into 2020?
Oh, of course. I think he has been a very bright spot, especially when you consider the offseason chatter of, well, did they even really want CJ Stroud? Was that more of a owner pick versus a coach pick this past offseason? So I really think that this team is kind of lucked out.
Spoiler, it was largely an owner's pick. Yeah.
So giving up that capital, I think it's well worth it, considering since Deshaun Watson's kind of heyday when he was just an elite quarterback, CJ Stroud has been a guy that has really found a way to make some of these, I guess you could say, lackluster receiving options. I'm not saying Nico Collins or Tank Dell can't be really good, but they're not
they've sort of broken out a little bit this year, and who's the quarterback? Like there's some correlation there. I feel like.
And so I think given what they really have this year and given how picked up that offensive line has been, CJ Stroud has done enough for him to prove that he deserves a full legitimate shot with the Houston Texans.
I agree, and it's the other two quarterbacks where things get interesting. This is where we get to continue the conversation now. It's probably more realistic that he looks, if he plays an extended amount of time with the Titans this season, that Levis looks more like the other two guys because Stroud is playing at, in some ways, an unprecedented rate for a rookie. So Anthony Richardson's the next guy we'll talk about. Colts quarterback who, shoulder injury, he's out for the year. Stinks. We did get about 3 total games out of him when you add up to kind of half the performances in there. But looking at his numbers, slightly lower completion percentage, 59%. Roughly 200 yards passing per game, a 3-to-1 touchdown interception ratio through those 3-ish games. He's shown serious flashes that we've been really fond of. He's looked like he's got some game-breaking ability and just needs to, not be as rough around the edges, polish some of those flaws, get that accuracy up a little bit. But throwing outside the numbers, throwing on the move, accuracy downfield, deep ball catchability, there's a lot of those trait demonstration things that he's shown, and it's just been the roughness around the edges that have kind of held him back. I would argue, again, if he looks like, and again, it's a 3-game sample size, so small sample size, but on the whole, if that's what he looks like, you're getting 200, 250 yards passing. Titans offense playing that efficient style, not making big back-breaking mistakes, throwing interceptions or not picking the ball in your hands. I say you move into 2024 if you have a Richardson-esque performance through the rest of the year with Will Levis. What do you think?
And certainly, I think that the big debate, right, was who has the bigger arm in this class, Anthony Richardson or Will Levis? So there is grounds to say that that's not out of the realm of possibility,
sure.
Right? Considering the kind of...
I'm sorry. Tony wants us to keep this conversation going all the way down to Aiden O'Connell, Tyson Badgett, and Lee Cunningham. We're getting there, Sonny. We're doing 3 hours today. So
we're going to do it. And you forgot about that. Clayton Toon is also
Toon Squad. I know Tony's a big Toon Squad guy.
But yeah, the kind of potential to have him have some Anthony Richardson as performances down the stretch here is possible because of how big that arm is and how that was one of the key factors for him coming out, especially with kind of the options that he has at his disposal and DeAndre Hopkins and Treylon Burks coming back this week. There are reasons to believe that he can have some stellar looking moments.
The way you feel right now about Richardson, just in general, your vibe with Richardson we've seen so far. If that exact same feeling, if we bottle that up, and then you drink it again after we've seen 5 games of Will Levis, 7 games of Will Levis, and then we're questioning, okay, 2024, what's the plan? What are you doing? Are you rock and rolling with Levis?
I think you kind of have to.
I agree. 100%. That's how I feel.
Mainly, I think the big reason is because he did invest the capital. I think he deserves at least a shot.
Traded up, early second round.
As well as just the ability to kind of be in a situation that I think a lot of these other teams haven't really been in. If you do, in fact, roll with Will Levis next season, I mean, the Titans right now have the second most cap space. So, as a lot of people want their teams to buy and build a team around their quarterback,
they have plenty of money next year.
The Titans would have the ability to do just that.
And the free agent pool available, it's
a lot better than it was this year.
It's nuts compared to this year. Yes, absolutely. So that brings us to the last guy, first overall pick, Mr. Bryce Young. What if Levis looks like he has so far? It's a tricky case here. I think that easily the worst of the 3 teams he's playing for. This Carolina Panthers team is not doing him any favors, but looking at just the numbers, he's been sneaky efficient, JT. I was surprised when I found this number today when I looked it up. 63% completion percentage, the highest of the 3. Passing for, again, about 200 yards per game. A 6-to-4 touchdown to interception ratio, so not been as clean with turning the ball over. The eye test has been very up and down so far. You have seen some flashes at times, and he's had some terrible support around him, which you have to take into consideration. But he's showing some of those real limitations that we were afraid of coming out. If you feel the way you currently feel about Bryce Young, about Will Levis, what do you think going into next year? It becomes a little bit trickier in my mind.
It does, but I think I'm still giving him a shot just because of what we just said, the ability to build a team around him much better than what Carolina can kind of do right now for Bryce Young. And also, I think the spectacle is kind of different. Bryce Young is a first-round pick. This is a guy
first overall
pick. Yep. Versus the guy that you did use a third-round pick on, but he is a second-round player. I think the expectations there are a little different. But if he does show you those flashes in efficiency, it doesn't have to. I think it's a little different. Like if both have their options, because in one situation, Bryce Young, if you get that efficiency like Bryce Young, I think that's probably what you want rolling into. If you get the big play potential, I think that also has enough of a case to roll into 2024.
Yeah. Shout out BoomBozz. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Shout out everybody watching live. If you can do us a favor, hit that retweet button, hit that like button. Help us share this with as many live eyeballs as we can. Would consider it a personal favor if you shared the show. So thank you very much. Make sure to subscribe at Broadway Sports Media's YouTube page, where you should be watching this and being a part of the conversation in the comments over there. We'd love to talk to you. So I put this question out on Twitter this morning, and I clipped it for the show. Got just shy of 600 votes. But I asked which fellow rookies' level of performance would Will Levis need to clear in order for you to want the Titans to move forward with him as the starter in 2024. The overwhelming, well, not overwhelming, but the clear victor in that voting was the middle tier of, if he looks like Anthony Richardson, has those Richardson-esque flashes, then we're good to go. It's a thumbs up. It's a green light for 2024. 44.8% of folks answered that way, followed by 32.2% of you with the lower bar, saying that if he just looks like Bryce Young or better, then we're good to go. And 23% demanding excellence, saying if he does not look like Stroud or better through whatever amount of gameplay we get from him this season, you've got to look elsewhere.
Now, that 23% might be the same 23% that voted on my poll earlier this weekend, in which I said, who would you rather have right now, Deshaun Watson or Malik Willis? In which 74% of that vote, on 100 people voting on that, said Malik Willis. So, like, maybe the expectations
is that about
not,
Malik or is that about Deshaun? One has to ask.
Yes.
Just a couple loose threads on this topic before we move on. You know, in general, a number of comments I got on this were that looking at this from a different perspective, just if you feel like at the end of the year, Levis is potentially your guy, you got to make a decision now on whether you move forward with him or look elsewhere. And you feel like you've got the fourth out of four quarterbacks, kind of circling back to this idea. I totally understand that. And just in general, I agree with the idea that if you feel like you have the fourth best quarterback in your division, you're not going to succeed. So, yes, that's something that needs to be taken into consideration. And with Richardson, we don't really know. It's all projection. He's not going to play the rest of the year. If Stroud continues to perform well, if Lawrence looks in the back half of the year like he did at the back half of last season, which was really fantastic, then that becomes part of the equation, I think. And another part of the equation, which was brought up a lot in the comments, was if you have a bad enough pick in this draft class, this is what a number of folks said. They said, I think it solves itself, essentially. They said that if Will Levis is very bad and plays the rest of the year, then you're going to have a high enough pick to draft a quarterback in this class and replace him. And if he plays well enough for you to move on with him into next season, then you will have played yourself out of that quarterback zone in the first round, and you will not, the decision is made for you, the choice is made for you. I'm not convinced by that. I think that there is absolutely a world in which, if we're assuming Levis is playing the rest of the year, which we do not know, there's a world in which the Titans are a top 5 pick, and he's actually shown enough for you to think, okay, maybe this is the guy. You have kind of that Justin Fields conversation the Bears had last year, where they had the first overall pick, but they felt like they had something in Fields and wanted to move forward. Now with them, maybe that's a cautionary tale because it's looking now like they maybe are going to regret that decision. And there's also a world in which Levis looks terrible, but this team, bolstered by the defense, bolstered by the running game, wins enough games to get you out of that zone. So I understand the logic there. I do. But I do think that that's not the end-all, be-all of this conversation. With that said, let's look forward to, actually, before we do, I've got a couple of things that I think are keys to this game we can talk about outside of Will Levis' performance. But one last thing on Will Levis that I want to say is, a question. What are our predictions? What is your prediction? I give you this ahead of time. Not stat-wise, but just what do you think the vibe is going to be with Will Levis from this game? What do you think come Sunday evening, we're recording live for our Monday show? What's the topic of conversation going to look like around what Will Levis did in this game?
I try to be an optimist, right? I really do. I think that's something on this show that I try to preach. However, just
there it is.
Thinking about it, like the thing that we need to talk about as well, just getting into this game, like Atlanta has a
Sneaky good defense in general.
Jesse Bates, they have a
The whole
really
defense.
revamped.
Why do you think this is? Why do you think that? Is it because they don't have a true edge rusher that you're afraid of? Is that why there's not a face of the defense? So it's a faceless.
It probably is. I think it also is just people are still counting this defense out after maybe a decade-long span of being atrocious.
Well, in the past couple of years in particular, they've been bad.
Yeah.
I mean, bad.
I mean, I even when I was getting into the nitty-gritty, seeing them ranked third in run defense this week, I did a double take.
Every defensive stat I looked at this week, I was surprised by. Yes, yeah.
So,
Sneaky great.
I think the overreaction may be a lot because I could easily see AJ Terrell or Jesse Bates just have a more better presence and find a way to make Will Levis make mistakes this week. However, I don't think that that's going to be a reason why Will Levis should be dead and buried.
I agree. I think we're going to come away, the words were taken right out of my mouth by our buddy Greg Ball on a football show earlier today, which is also on the Fourth Grade Podcast Network, that you can also check out. The way that he framed it is perfect to me. We're going to come away from this game excited, wanting to see more Will Levis, not having to see more Will Levis, not, wondering if going back to Ryan Tannehill once he's healthy is the right idea for this team. I think that it's going to be a want to. It's going to be a level of excitement, win or lose, for Will Levis going forward. That does not mean that it's amazing. I think he's going to show enough flashes. I think the delta between what Malik has shown and Levis has shown, or will show in this game, is going to be big enough that's going to excite people. And it's gonna. It's not apples and oranges because when Ryan Tannehill came in from Marcus Mariota, he was already a veteran by that, a vested veteran at that point. But I have a feeling it's gonna look a lot like when Ryan Tannehill came in from Marcus Mariota in 2019, benched mid-game, obviously. And there was you weren't necessarily watching and paying as close attention at the time, but there was a light switch flipped in that moment for anybody with eyeballs watching that game. Tannehill comes in, he's more decisive, he's letting the ball rip, he's navigating the pocket well enough. He's making accurate throws, aggressive throws downfield and outside the numbers, things that Marcus was consistently leaving people just infuriated, furious, frustrated about. I think that that's going to be the kind of thing you see from Will Levis. Obviously, he was easily of the draft class this year, of the rookie passers, the top rookie passers, easily the best at getting the ball out quickly in college. Now, he held the ball for too long sometimes, and that's what got him in some trouble with his sack rate. But in general, he's good at making a decision, choosing a read, getting through his progression very quickly, and finding see-ball, throw ball, or see-hole, throw ball, be aggressive in that way. And so I think you're going to see that. He's the kind of quarterback, Brett Kosel put this week, a great way of putting it. He's the kind of quarterback that is going to need to make mistakes, and you're going to need to let him make those mistakes in order to grow, in order to learn. So it will not be a mistake-free outing, but I think it will be exciting.
You know what would get me excited this week?
What?
For Will Levis, and maybe that's just my bar. It's if he does this, fine, I'm good with it. If we see another one of those plays where Chig goes in motion and just absolutely explodes out with the linebacker, he's downfield. If he can finally just make the throw and not have it underthrown this week, I'll be good. I'll be good.
I think that will be an electric moment in the stadium.
And to your point there is always just something about a quarterback change that ignites a team to come together. I mean, look at what Josh Dobbs did early this year, and it always just seemed like either.
Look at last week. How many backup quarterbacks looked good in one ball games last week?
It's just like
Tyson Badgett.
Tyson Badgett looked very impressive.
Remember when Taylor Heineke came in for the Commanders, and it was Chase Young was like, "This is my guy, this is my quarterback." Teams rally around electric young guys.
Yeah, and an interesting.
This is a great point.
An interesting point to add on to that is that for some reason, just because these other teams have not seen this no quantity in this guy, for the first 4 or 5 games, they tend to maybe look electric. And then as we see kind of with Josh Dobbs and these other guys,
teams figure you out.
They figure you out, and that's where it starts to the wheels kind of fall off the track there. So just taking this into perspective here, could we see Will Levis look very electric for the next 4 games and get this team back into a competitive kind of nature for this season, and then we see a transition back to Tannehill once he's healthy? in
Right?
better in time.
Can he ride this honeymoon period?
Yeah.
Is essentially what you're saying.
I think that's all you have to ask.
That's all you have to ask. I agree. So let's talk real quick about news. A couple of hits on keys to this game outside of Will Levis. And I say outside of Will Levis, this first one is kind of including him. The biggest key whenever you're having to start a backup or a rookie or a backup rookie quarterback in a game is, as a coordinator, as head coach, you have to find the easy buttons that you can press. You need to scheme up. You're planning your first drive. You need to have a number of early passes in there to gain momentum, gain confidence of your quarterback, give them some real nerve calming plays to get rolling a little bit. We don't want to get that confidence shot with an early mistake. You got to find those easy buttons and press them early and often for a quarterback like this. It's a big trenches battle as well. This game it feels a lot in that regard like the Cleveland game, the Titans this season, where Atlanta has the ability to punk them in the trenches on both sides of the ball. And if they do, it will not matter what Will Levis does. It will not matter what the Titans secondary does without Kevin Byard. It will not matter what the pass rush does after a week off. Nothing else will matter if they get punked in the trenches on both sides of the ball in this game. Atlanta has the ability to do that on both sides of the ball, and they're a team that is kind of made in the Mike Vrabel image with Art Smith at the helm. They're wanting to be ground and pound. They're wanting to be ball control. They're wanting to be tempo setting. It's kind of a clash of styles here, or not clash, but a meeting of similar styles here, in a way that the Titans aren't at least competing for the wheel to drive this bus. They'll be driven right off the cliff by Atlanta, and that will be a big issue for them. What I alluded to earlier, I think there's a potential for Atlanta to have a surprising day of offense this week, JT. And you look at the past couple of weeks, they have put up 400-plus yards of offense in the last two games. Something they've also done is turn the ball over 11 times in their last 4 games at an astonishing rate. If Ritter protects the ball in this game and their underlying production stays the same or relatively the same, there's potential for them to score 25, 30, 35 points in this game and kind of shock the Titans in a way that you look at the raw number, you look at, okay, they're averaging 16.4 points per game. You get what I'm saying? It's a little bit of a lie in that way because they're turning the ball over so much. If you don't get those turnovers, which the Titans have not been good at forcing turnovers this year at all, it's not going to be that inefficient for their offense. They are moving the ball up and down the field. If you give them the chance to score, they're going to score, and you're going to be behind the 8 ball with the quarterback trying to score a lot of points.
Yeah, I think that's well said, and I think you can just do what the Buccaneers did it last week in cash in on those mistakes that Ritter and the Falcons make. You're going to have an easier time.
Yeah, I agree. All right, that's all on our Falcons-Titans preview. Let's get to the news with producer JT. Before we do, make sure if you're watching with us live, you're over Pro Sports Media on YouTube, where you can be part of the comment section like Purdue Lipschitz and our buddy Stoney, who've been with us all day today. Appreciate y'all. Also, BoomBozz Pizza here in Spring Hill. Appreciate you guys sponsoring the show. Going out, hang out, get food on us, get a drink on us, have a good time here in Spring Hill. BoomBozz Craft Pizza Taphouse. Check it out. All right, let's get to the news with producer JT.
Yeah, let's break down this Thursday injury report, starting with the guys who did not practice today. A couple other guys who are popping up. We'll start with the guys who continue not to practice. Tight end Josh Wiley is still not practicing with that concussion. Probably it would take a miracle, but considering how
if you don't practice on Thursday, yeah, you're done.
Considering how the Titans do it, even though it's been a week and change now, it sounds like he probably will not go. Ryan Tannehill, once again, not going. Pretty cut and dry now. He will not go this week. Good thing is, though, it's not a high ankle sprain that requires surgery or anything like that, so there is still hope for him there.
Right.
And then Derrick Henry popping up on the injury report today, which is a very contentious
No. You're getting this is bait on your part. You are baiting our audience. Are you new around here?
Well, here's the question.
Are you new around here? On a Thursday, Derrick Henry not practicing.
I wasn't finished.
How many Thursdays have we practiced this year? How many
None,
Thursdays?
however, it wasn't finished.
Okay, finish your question. Your silly, stupid question.
Given the circumstances of this Titans team right now, do you think that this is just another Derrick Henry Thursday rest, or is there something else going on?
That's very clickbait of you. I appreciate you adding that drama to the show. I'm here to I'm taking your tinfoil hat off, setting it on the table, If he doesn't practice tomorrow, then phone me. But he's not on the injury report. It's designated for NIR, not injury related. Rest. It's rest. I've been saying it all week. I do not think the Titans get a deal done because I do not think any team values Derrick Henry enough to make that trade. Maybe I'm wrong. Everything can change on a dime if you get the right offer. Get one offer that's correct, and suddenly things are different. But right now, from what I've heard, from what I'm expecting other teams to offer, I don't see it getting done. I think he's going to be playing this game. I think it's going to be a Titan through at least the end of the year.
One other Titan player that popped up today, which is a little bit concerning, Roger McCreary, who was limited on Wednesday, does not practice today with a hamstring, obviously. With Kevin Byard exiting, with how Christian Fulton has played, we're really going to need Roger McCreary this week. What do you think about him not practicing this week and your confidence level in him to go this week?
Yeah, this is the biggest concern by far. We've talked all year about him. McCreary's had a sneaky great year so far. He's been fantastic, in particular in the box and the slot. If he can't play, that's a big deal for the Titans secondary, which is already down Kevin Byard this week. Obviously, you got a new piece in safety who I'd imagine doesn't play a lot in this first. May take place in special teams, maybe spot start here or there, spot play here or there, but I don't think he's going to be the starter. If McCreary can't go, you're even thinner back there, and that's a serious problem. It sounds like he popped the hamstring a little bit on Wednesday or earlier in the week at some point. No practice today for rest. Tomorrow, as always, the pivotal day on the injury report. If he's not going tomorrow, I would not be shocked if it's ruled out. It's a big hit for the Titans.
Let's talk about the other side of the coin here with the Atlanta Falcons.
I'm sorry. Can I pause? There's one guy who you didn't mention who's not on the injury report, but it's the fact that he's not on there that I want to mention. Tier Tart being back to this team. We've been talking about it for so many weeks in a row now, 3 weeks in a row now, that we've kind of we've forgotten about it. Them getting him back against this rushing team is a massive deal. We have questioned how much the Titans hit as a rushing defense has been, attributable to his absence. I think we're going to get the answer to that this week, and I think it's going to be very good news for the Titans to have him back in the rotation.
Yeah, and as I was saying, moving on to the Atlanta side here, a very drastic looking difference here, as it always is this time of year.
Tiny little list.
With the Titans versus their opponent. The only guy to be concerned of is linebacker Tay Davis, who's dealing with concussion, does not practice again from Thursday. Would need at least a limited practice tomorrow, but it sounds like he's not going. Otherwise, everything clean right now for the Atlanta Falcons. Running back Cordell Patterson practicing again, as well as Calais Campbell practice today. Both were taking veteran days on Wednesday.
Yeah, nothing to say there. What else do we have in the news?
Let's talk about this punt return job, which has been a topic of conversation for the past couple of weeks after.
If you were in the job market, Titans have
for the punt returner here, as it was reported by multiple sources earlier today, Sports, there are a bunch of Titans competing for the punt return job, including Kyle Phillips, wide receiver Shai Smith, wide receiver Mason Kinsey and Colton Dow, and then quarterback Eric Garrett. Easton, out of these guys, who would you like to see returning punts this week for the Titans?
It's Mason Kinsey. It's been Mason Kinsey. It's unironically Mason Kinsey. We've been talking about it since he filled in a couple of weeks ago. I trust him to catch the ball. I trust him to get a couple of yards and be scrappy, and he can take a hit. And he's not, if he goes down with an injury, God forbid, he's not super valuable elsewhere for the team. It's crazy how much Mason Kinsey. That's all I have to say. It should be Mason Kinsey. Mason deserves the job. I hope it's Mason Kinsey. I know our buddy Paul Kaharski tweeted out today that he was at practice today, which I was not. He said, I looked up for one moment and immediately saw Kyle Phillips drop one. He's got the yips right now. It's good, I think, this Titans team for him to continue to muff his way out of the job. Just let him play receiver, let him focus on that, let him stay clean, and not cost the Titans in the punt return game. It's a special teams coach Craig Arterman said today that, at this point, it's more of a mental thing than a physical thing for Kyle catching the ball. You file that away under unbelievably obvious. Of course, it's a mental thing.
Yes.
But yeah, it should be Kinsey as long as you don't have Kyrus Jackson. The best option is Kyrus Jackson. A couple folks have asked me about him. He's on IR. It's been 4 full weeks. from what I'm hearing, he's not really close at all coming back. It's not necessarily a season-ending injury, but it's a significant injury that I don't think he's close to coming back this year. Maybe that's not going to be in the cards. But until he comes back, it's Mason Kinsey.
And we can move on now to the kicker, who has been the one bright spot in this entire season.
Yep.
Nick Folk is on the precipice of a couple records.
And I mean, so bright, the brightest spot. Yes.
And how consistent he's been hitting.
Granddaddy strong legs.
And we're going to talk about this, but then you can come back and just absolutely bash us because we are now probably going to jinx.
Yeah, no, we deserve it. Yeah. But we're going to do it anyways.
In advance, but he has 2 records that he can move up in this week. First one, most consecutive field goals made in franchise history. He currently sits at number 8 on that list with a couple field goals this week. He's currently at 16. He can move up, passing Al Del Greco if he makes 3 this week to 19, and then if he makes...
Which knowing the Titans is certainly possible.
Yes, and then he can, if he hits 40, he can jump up and pass a couple Titans legends in Ryan Suckup and Rob Baronis for 20 on the year. Nick Folk also has a very good opportunity to win the best kicker battle of the year currently, as he has made 70 consecutive field goals under 40 yards, tied right now with Justin Tucker. Apologies, as I reported this later a couple of weeks ago, that I did think that Justin Tucker still had that streak active. It was broken, so now it is on Nick Folk's shoulders to break this record this week.
One more kick under 40, which he's going to attempt. He's going to miss because
that's how that works.
That's how that works. Yeah. Or sorry.
So Nick Folk has a lot to prove this week. Moving on to Arthur Smith, as this is the Art Smith game.
The Art Smith game.
Arthur Smith had a couple things to say earlier today. Paul Karsky reported this, saying that Arthur Smith says he tries to pretend playing the Titans is nothing different, but given all the relationships he's built in 10 years with the franchise, obviously just more of a coach thing to say there.
Sure.
And then running back Derrick Henry has some thoughts on this, saying Arthur Smith's new mustache is questionable. Arthur Smith clapped back after hearing that, saying, "Tell him I find his new hairstyle questionable."
Get him, Art. Get his ass. Yes, I love it.
And then could we see the first vest swap between coaches?
I sure hope so. I'm gonna bully Vrabel in the press conference. You can print that.
Titans head coach Mike Vrabel was asked on possibly doing a vest swap with Falcons head coach Arthur Smith this week, and Vrabel also jumping in on the Art Smith mustache.
Everybody hating on the mustache, man. Goodness.
As long as he gets rid of that miserable mustache, he will do it. So we'll have to see this week.
Art Smith just trying to embrace his Top Gun summer, his Top Gun boy summer, and everybody's giving him a hard time. I guess the summer's over. It's time to end it.
2 more things here before we are finished with the news. Let's talk about the DeAndre Hopkins controversy that happened today.
6 hours of controversy.
Yes. So let's talk about this account, Shep's Cards and Collectibles, who posted saying, D-Hop signing update. We apologize for the delay, but he has requested to wait after the trade deadline. So we are shooting to finish up and finalize everything by next Wednesday. If not, we will begin processing refunds and returning items by late next week. We apologize for the delay. So a couple of reporters here in town kind of found this and thought that was an interesting note to find today. However, DeAndre Hopkins chimed in himself saying, "Never heard of this company before in my life, but would love to set up something soon here in Nashville." My thought, maybe that guy who had DeAndre Hopkins' old number, who got old PK,
the
maybe decided to
same guy
get back into the bag.
I mean, he's a full-blown, he's like an Elvis impersonator from Vegas. This guy's a full-blown DeAndre Hopkins impersonator from Arizona. Silly. People were worried, terrified. Titans fans, I get it. You're paranoid right now that all your favorite players, all your best players are going to be traded away in fire sale mode. I get it. It's going to be a long couple of days until the trade deadline on Tuesday, but this is not one of those cases. It sounds like D-Hop is, at least for today, right now, never know what's going to come around the corner here, safely in Tennessee.
Finally, Uncle Jimmy with the uniform check once again, but if you have not heard this uniform check, you're living under a rock.
Been aware of this for months.
Yes, the Titans will be decked out in their Oilers throwbacks, Columbia blue jerseys with white breeches, and blue and white socks with white helmets adorned with the Oil logo in Sunday's game versus the Atlanta Falcons.
How many Falcons are going to be asking for a jersey swap? I mean, if I would be asking,
All 53.
I'd be asking the most random special teams player on the Titans just to get a hold of one of these gorgeous jerseys. All right, that is producer JT with the news. That means we have one last thing to do today. The best bet Gauntlet, my favorite part of the show. We do 3 shows a week. We spend 20 total minutes or less on the best bet Gauntlet. And it is, without a doubt, my favorite 20 minutes each and every week. I love talking about these bets, and we love making money, JT. Just some numbers to run down. A big week for me last week. One of the very rare losing weeks for you this season. Your first of the year. First of the year. Listen, by week 7, if that's your first losing week, you're doing something right, is what I would like to say. I am at 18-7, clawing my way back to a slow start. But above 500, JT still comfortably in the lead at 23-12 on the year. Our show record, which is the important part, 41-20. 59% on.
We need to put that back up. I'm a little ticked off.
Yeah.
We need to.
Our standards are so high that
Yes.
59%, which is well above a professional grade, we're not happy with. But yeah, 59% on the year. I was doing some updating of the all-time numbers, JT. We started the best bet Gauntlet at the beginning of last season, so it's been going on for 7 plus 18, so 23 weeks. Or that's good math. 25 weeks now in total. Stoney in the comments says he's 1-9-1 in the NFL this season. Don't feel bad about your 59%. Well, Stoney, you should be blind betting with us because all time since the beginning of last year, as of this week, we have crossed 300 bets. Threshold. Check mark, JT. Our all-time record is 165, 124, 9 all-time, 57%. A truly fantastic. You know, if you're betting at 52.5%. You're breaking even. They say if you're betting at 55%, you can quit your job. That's a professional better percentage. We're currently on the year at 59%. All time through 300 plus bets, we're at 57%, up 25.9 units. Stoney, if you were betting, here's the math on this. Stoney, if you were betting $100 on each of our bets every week blind, so at $1,000 total, $100 on 10 bets a week, since the beginning of last year, you would have $2,600 extra dollars in your pocket.
Well, it sounds like he's gonna make a
Blindly
new business
betting
model out of this.
our show. Yeah, that's what I need to do. He said, just take y'all's picks and sell them to my Patreon subscribers. I'm not going to stop you because we are a freight train runaway down the tracks. And JT, I did the math on this as well. You're the first pick today. It's been a while. You know how long it's been? It has been exactly 300 days. This week's our 300th pick. It's been 300 days since you have had the honors of the first pick as last week's loser. So without further ado, JT, what is your first pick of the weekend best bet Gauntlet?
Our viewers are not going to like this pick, but I'm rolling with the Jungle Cats this week. I'm taking Cincinnati +4. I was pretty happy with them at +3.5. I also bet them earlier this week at +5.5.
Love
Now,
that. Yep.
that number is getting back up there to +4. Here's why I really like this pick. I think this is a spot, once again, to sell the 49ers. Even coming off 2 losses, I think that them being
Purdy-less.
49ers, them being a favorite over the field goal still is just too much. Off 2 straight losses or more, Shanahan is just 12-12 against the spread, 5-4 against the spread since 2020. Also, this is a Bengals team that is going from the East Coast to the West Coast, and those teams have they performed very well, going 67, 49, and 5 against the spread, 58% since 2016. As an underdog of 3 or more points, Joe Burrow is 14-2 against the spread in the NFL. He was also 5-1 against the spread in college, if that is something that you were interested in. So that puts him at 19-3 against the spread overall in his semi and professional career. Burrow has just been unreal past week 7. He's hitting at around 70% against the spread. And this has just been a spot here where, as we all know, Joe Burrow has not had a healthy start to the preseason almost ever in his career.
Pretty much never. Yeah.
And so it takes this Cincinnati team some time to get going. And so once they get to week 7 here, Joe Burrow and this team gets rocking. As you said, this team is probably without Brock Purdy. He did not practice again today, but it's going to be the Sam Darnold show. They're also not going to have Deebo Samuel this week. I believe the offensive lineman for them, Teron Armstead, I think, also did not practice today. Also looks like he might not go. This is a Bengals defense that is top 5 both in blitz and pressure rate.
Coming off the bye, big
Coming off
move.
the bye. This is just an easy spot for me to take this Bengals team. And I was worried that this was going to go down to underneath that field goal, but it goes back up to +4. So this is a no-brainer for me. I'm taking the Cincinnati Bengals +4.
All right. With my first pick of the Week 8 Best Bet Gauntlet, the theme of my picks this week, JT, are, as I've been for the past couple of weeks, falling knives. Okay? We talked about that idea in betting as the team is tanking, falling apart. You try to catch the falling knife by the handle and not the blade. If you catch it by the handle at the last moment, you catch them at the bottom of their value, and you get the best value, and you get money in your pocket. So falling knives, home dogs, division dogs, and the most delicious type of bet in the world, home division dog. That's what I'm taking my first bet. Green Bay +1.5 versus Minnesota. So many trends, so many indicators pointing in Green Bay's way. An ultimate pros Joe's game. 38% delta between the bet percentage, the public, the number of total tickets, and the money on this game. Only 55% of the tickets on Green Bay. 93% of the money on Green Bay. The big money professional bettors are on this team. Again, it's a home divisional dog. The perfect spot for both of these teams. Minnesota coming off of a short week, which hurts them in this game, but off of a massive win over the 49ers. A massive primetime win for primetime Kirk. Okay? Selling them at the top of their market right now. Buying Green Bay at the bottom of their market, coming off of an embarrassing loss. I love this spot for the ultimate falling knife this week, which is the Green Bay Packers. Just look at my notes. Minnesota short week, falling knife. Yeah, it's a home divisional dog. I think Green Bay wins this game outright. Give me Green Bay +1.5 at home against Minnesota.
I really like that pick as well. They get Jair Alexander probably back this week. Also, once again, without Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison looked really impressive, but I have questions for him this week on against Jair Alexander.
Yep.
That is going to be a point of contention here this week, especially one that Green Bay is going to look to limit this week. So I'm with you on that one, especially being at home there in Lambeau.
Yep.
My next pick, which I believe is we're all about underdogs this week.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to take a favorite here.
Yep.
And as you know, a lot of the favorites this week are favored by a lot. But I think there's one that has some real value still. I'm going to take the Baltimore Ravens -9.5 against the Arizona Cardinals, going to the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals have lost their last 4 games, losing by 19, 14, 17, and 10.
That bodes well for your number here.
It does bode well. Teams also who won 6 games or less in the prior year, just like the Cardinals, and are also on a 4-game straight-up losing streak, are 54 and 81 against the spread as a home dog. I think this Ravens team from Lamar Jackson is just getting started. They are getting really healthy now.
They're hitting their stride right
They are hitting their stride. So I think I'm not going to fade the Ravens yet this week. They have a couple of weeks here where I think they're going to string together some really dominant and convincing wins. Obviously, they're going to play the Cleveland Browns next week, P.J. Walker. But at least for this week, Josh Dobbs, as we talked about earlier in the show with Will Levis, like we had this moment, and then we start figuring him out. We start to see why he's been a historically backup quarterback. This team also, without James Conner, I don't think we talked about how much James Conner matters.
Since they've lost him, their running game is disappeared.
Yes. So I think Baltimore is going to look to kind of do what they did to Detroit last week, and I'll learn my lesson as you publicly called me a bozo last week for taking the Lions.
You were a bozo.
I'm going to heed that lesson and take the Ravens -9.
I like it. My second pick of the Week 8 Best Bet Gauntlet. Give me the Giants +3 as home dogs against the team they share their stadium with, the New York Jets. Very simple handicap here for me. Okay? This game is a total under 40. In games where the total is under 40, dogs of 3 or more points are 59% ATS since 2018. I like that Tyrod is playing in this game. Most likely, I'm going to put this in there. If Danny Dimes comes in and is the guy, come Sunday, I might have changed this bit. I want it to be Tyrod. He takes care of the ball. He doesn't turn over the ball. His team's well coached. They can be efficient. He's brought some juice to this team, some life to this team in the past couple of weeks. So I want it to be Tyrod. I think it's a big Waller day. You look at this Jets defense, which has been pretty nails all year. Shut down some really great offenses. One of their only weaknesses has been covering tight ends. And Darren Waller has kind of come to life the past couple of weeks. I think that it's a big game for him. So maybe you look at the props on Darren Waller in this game. But I like the Giants. I think they're going to win this game outright against the Jets, who need to come back down to earth a little bit. The Giants will show some life. Give me Giants +3 at home against the New York Jets.
I like that pick. I'm going to take a home dog myself. I'm going to dip into your strategy this week.
Division dog.
Another
home division,
which better.
It's just finger looking good. I mean, it's KFC finger looking good to get a home division dog.
I'm going to take the Denver Broncos +7 facing the Chiefs. This is an easy pick for me because this is Sean Payton getting the same team that he's played just 2 weeks ago. Once again, now at home. This also is going to look to be shaping up as a weather game. It's going to be cold, 20 degrees, possible snow in the mix here. We also just know how bad Patrick Mahomes is. He is a favorite of over 3 points. Just a tough spot to bet him. This is a team that really they win these games, right? But they don't do it decisively. The Chiefs have never really been a team that dominantly wins these games, and I expect Denver to keep it close once again. I think Javonte Williams is getting back to what Javonte Williams is best. I think they're going to try to control this game through the run. Just some stats here. The Chiefs covered versus their own division last week when they played the Los Angeles Chargers. When those teams are favored again in their next game against the division opponent, they are 46.3% against the spread in the last 20 years. I think all signs are pointing to Russell Wilson and this Broncos team probably not winning, but once again, keeping it a close game. So give me the Broncos +7.
I think the number's gonna tick up a bit as we get close to the beginning. The public's gonna bet that number up a little bit. Also, JT, do you know who the Chiefs have after this game? They have the Dolphins and the Eagles. So this is a serious look ahead spot. A serious we don't want to show anything spot for the Chiefs. I like this pick a lot. It's my third pick at the best bet Gauntlet week 8. Give me a Mike Tomlin spot. Give me Pittsburgh as a home dog of 2.5 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. It is automatic. Speaking of bets that I think the public could absolutely bet up by the end of the weekend to get you that field goal, maybe even 3.5 if we're lucky. That's what I'm betting on. So if you're running bet along with us, which you should to make money, by the way, just proven. It's a fact. It's not an opinion. Wait on this one. Wait until the weekend to see if you can get a 3 or a 3.5. I doubt that happens, but always check it out. Kenneth, by the way, asking if you've checked Taylor Swift's schedule for making this pick.
I'm not. I don't care.
I don't think she's going to be there for this one. From what I've heard, I heard that on a random show today. I couldn't tell you what it was, but I don't think she'll be there.
I do not care. We do not care.
In the words of Mike Tomlin,
we do not care.
I do not care. Yeah, no, he does not care. Pittsburgh, a couple of things on this game, right? Notes here. It's Tomlin's spot, right? He's 57-31-4 ATS on his career, 64%, the most profitable coach against the spread in the NFL. He is 16-9 straight up as a home dog, which is fantastic in this game. More specifically, as a home dog facing a team with a 60+ winning percentage, a winning team like this Jacksonville team is. At home, he is 14-3-1 straight up. He is a spoiler at home. In that Pittsburgh defensive line in particular, against this Jacksonville offensive line, it's going to be a problem for Jacksonville. Jacksonville has won 4 games in a row, I believe, and they went from 1-2 to now 5-2. I think this is a come down spot for Jacksonville. I think the Pittsburgh voodoo is going to continue. I think they're going to win this game outright.
Well, yeah, I think also, as we said last week, Mike Tomlin after a bye really turns this team.
I forgot about the bye. Yes,
in
after
terms
the bye.
of points per game.
Yep.
This team, Mike Tomlin finds a way to have this team clicking after the bye. Kenny Pickett looked better last week. They get Deontay Johnson back, which I think is a lot bigger of an implication there than people realize.
Yep.
I also think that they might get Pat Fryer moved back this week, which would be a big hat on that offensive defensive side of the ball. So I love that pick this week. I definitely also caution. You can get it at 3 or 3.5.
3, man.
Try to get it there. My next pick, as we are now going to pick the entirety of the AFC North this week, give me Cleveland.
All right.
+4 headed to Seattle. This is, at least for me, I think this is a pretty easy pick considering the Seattle Seahawks so far. They're coming off a lot of games where they're going up against easy teams. They played one of the easiest schedules in terms of DVOA. We have Cardinals who played the Giants when they were very, very injured. This has been a very, very easy schedule so far for the Seattle Seahawks. Gino, when he comes off a loss, does pretty well. However, they beat the Cardinals last week. But after a straight up win, he's only 8-11-2 against the spread. Also, this is another one of those times where we preach, watch the total to bet the spread here.
Yep.
Since 2018, when that spread is below, I believe 39.
40. It's 40.
The underdog against the spread is hitting at 61.1%. It's also 23-8-1 against the spread this season. Cleveland fits into this. This is going to be a low-scoring game. I think this Cleveland defense does enough against Gino, who hasn't looked like last year's Gino. I think they do enough. Tyler Lockett's dealing with an injury. DK Metcalf is still dealing with that injury. I think this is especially getting it over the field goal. I think this is a game where even if they don't win, they're going to keep it close because of how good that defense has been. So give me Cleveland +4.
With my 4th pick of the Week 8 best bet Gauntlet, I can't believe I'm doing this again. Give me New England +9.5. Miami, another dog, this time on the road. Excuse me, I'm choking my own spit. If you can get this number at 10, get it at 10. I think that both might get that stuff. Miami to that double-digit number. So if you can get them at 10, get them at 10. But at 9.5, I still like to bet for a couple of them. I caught the falling knife last week against in New England. I bet them last week. We caught the falling knife. We cashed that bet, JT. This week, I think I'm going to do it again against another division opponent in Miami. I think that they, first of all, have played this team already this year. They handled them. They were the only team really, besides the Bills, the Bills and the Patriots, they're the only teams to neutralize that tenacious Miami defense. So that's a big deal. They've done it once. Belichick getting a second crack at the same team. I think he's going to do it again. But their offensive line was much better last week because they got some important guys back. Tennessee college legend, UTC legend Cole Strange up there, getting back in the rotation for the Patriots was a big deal. Their personnel situation for the offensive line improved dramatically, and I think it's going to stay. The same guys playing this week, so I think it's going to continue to tick up in the right direction. Hill and Waddle banged up. We know what Waddle's situation is with Hill. We don't really quite know what the deal is, but with both of those guys kind of banged up, that's a big question mark. There's also high winds forecasted. Tua, not the strongest arm in the world. Mac Jones, neither, but they can run the ball and ball control much better than Miami can, I think. It's just everything in this game points to taking the guy that's not going to win, but it's going to cover. Give me New England in the 3rd straight week now. It's so gross. I hate it so much. Give me New England hopefully getting the 10, but right now I'll take the +9.5.
Considering Mac Jones' history against the spread.
Sure.
But that is a very gross pick there. My final pick for week 5. That's good. I'm going to take the Washington Commanders +7 right now.
Another division home dog.
The Eagles. That pretty much says it themselves. This is a Commanders team that has always played the Eagles very, very close. Ron Rivera also really well in this spot. He's 24-15-1 against the spread as a dog versus his own division, including 8-4-1 against the spread when he's with Washington. But he's always been very good against his division. This is a team that is coming off a interesting time.
That's a way of putting it.
I think that's the best way I can put it. This is a team that, after last week's embarrassing loss, they are down in the dumps, but I think Ron Rivera is going to do enough. They played this Eagles team at the Eagles.
I remember that there was some voodoo in that game. Some divisional dog voodoo.
I think that's going to happen again. So give me the Commanders +7.
Yeah, I love it. And folks in the comments, Pretty Will Lipschitz, Kenneth Kroll, asking, is anybody going to be brave enough to board the Will Levis train and take Brave Wolves as home dog? We've bet the Titans game one side or the other in 6 consecutive weeks here. They were on their bye last week. I'm going to make it 7. Give me Tennessee +3 at home, a home dog against Atlanta. Pretty simple handicap here in the sense that the Titans narratively, everything is down in the dumps. You got Mike Vrabel with a rookie backup quarterback. What's going to happen? Atlanta coming off of a big divisional win. It just makes way too much sense for them to win this game outright. We know the stats about Vrabel's dog. Or the stats about Vrabel's a home dog. I'm struggling to find a reason to bet this Atlanta team. Maybe it will bite me. Maybe I'm walking into a trap here. Maybe I'm stepping in it.
I certainly was not brave enough to take
I'm gonna try it out. We'll see what happens. With that is our best bet gauntlet for week 8. So JT, in total, 9 dogs, four division dogs, and 3 home division dogs.
But I feel so good about this.
I love the dogs going to bark this week. They're going to bark this week. It's a great week for an underdog round robin. In review, JT is rocking with Cincinnati +4 at San Francisco, Baltimore -9.5 at Arizona, Denver +7 at Kansas City, Cleveland +4 at Seattle, and Washington +7 versus Philadelphia. I have 5 dogs. Green Bay +1.5 at home against Minnesota. The Giants, the G-Men, +3 versus the Jets. Pittsburgh +2.5 at home against Jacksonville. New England +9.5 on the road in Miami. Tennessee +3 at home against the Atlanta Falcons. That is our best bet going for week 8. We will continue to be making money and be happy doing so. And happy to make you money along with us. You should be betting blind with us to continue to make money. Those are not opinions, facts, folks. I don't know what to tell you. You want to make money. You want to make money betting. You're not trying it. You're not betting. Best bet gauntlet. And that is our show for today. Appreciate everybody tuning in live with us. Would love for you to come hang out with us here at BoomBozz Craft Pizza and Taphouse, where you can get free food on us if you just come and say hey. Any Thursday from now through to the Super Bowl, JT will be back live recording our Monday morning show on Sunday evening after the Titans have taken on the Falcons here at Nissan Stadium in Nashville. Until then, for producer JT, I'm your host, Easton Freeze. Please subscribe on social media, on YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. It's been the Hot Read Podcast. We'll talk to you on Sunday.